You are still with October 1st special live coverage from Trust Television. I'm still Hamza Idris, and now in the studio is Honorable Cletus Obun. He's a chieftain of the All Progressive Congress APC, a former member of the Cross River State House of Assembly, former and probably longest serving chairman of the Action Congress of Nigeria in Cross River State, and above all, a member of the Presidential Campaign Council. Welcome to our studio.
Thanks for having me.
And it was actually deliberate, Honorable, that because this is the last segment of the program, the array of guests we showcased here spoke on economy, on security, on health, agriculture, education, empowerment, and all that. But you will not achieve all of these things if you don't have a solid political structure. Will you say Nigeria is still lagging behind, or we are there, only that we are pretending of not using the political structure at our disposal to actually satisfy all the needful?
But when you say political structure, the politicians will want to be looking at political structure as ward chairman and chapter chairman, but I imagine that you are talking about the systemic structure that should give results in these sectors.
Exactly.
So to that extent, I would say that all is there is just the execution and implementation of what ought to be, putting the right people in the right place, and commanding and supervising and superintending on that structure. That is what is, which is what somebody had given the impression that it is about leadership. But I also insist, yes, leadership propels, directs, and leads from the front. But I also will insist that the quality of leaders you have is directly proportional to the quality of followers you have.
But then how qualitative are our leaders, current leaders? And I'm talking about even councillors at the local level.
That is what...
Local government chairman. I mean, members of House of Assembly, where you served, coming to House of Reps, Senate, and then ministers and all that.
I have laid the foundation to say that the quality of those people is directly proportional to the quality of people that brought them to that place in the first place. Now we have graduated from the polity of merit to the polity of patronage, in which most of the time you have, where you have even the right people, they are accidental, unprepared. Good men, pastor, reverend, imam, in power. Is he prepared for the power? No. Professors come in, and then
engineers, architects, medical doctors, and all that.
They come in accidentally because there is no leadership succession plan. There's no programmatic approach to leadership as a nation. So what you get is patronage. He is my boy, he's my PA, he's my nephew, he's my niece, he was my personal secretary when I was a medical doctor. When I was a professor, he was my student. So as a minister, he should become my local government chairman. He should become my House of Reps member. He should become a House of Assembly member. This level, by 99, when there should have been a sifting and the production of the best quality, those who ought to provide that best quality didn't believe that the military were going to go. As a result, you had those who didn't have any business in power coming in, while those who have business in power were shipped out of the system, and today you are having gradually a very few who are now tainted, overwhelmed, and overrun by those who had no business in government.
But it was told that, especially in the southwest, of course you are from the Niger Delta region, those who came, especially from the southwest, you had the likes of, I don't know, let me not even call them, but you have quality leaders, especially in 1999. But then when it came to the 2003 election, that was when, the terrain was somehow adulterated, allegedly by former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Because at that time, you are a member of ACN, of course, now the progenitor of ACN, that time, AD, Alliance for Democracy. It was all over in the Southwest. And the leaders were delivering, in terms of quality education, in terms of good roads, in terms of, even mentorship for people to get it right. The only person that survived that hurricane was incumbent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yes, let me say this to you. that trajectory, that narrative will make sense if you include the fact that the remnants of that quality resident in the southwest, was because of the political consciousness arising from Nadeko, the struggle to free Nigeria from military rule. It was all centered there. That does not mean that it was limited there. You can also find that quality in most of the states. I can name them for you. In the south, you had the Odilis of this world, you had the Atas of this world in Akwa Ibom, you had in places like Enugu State, you have places like Anambra State, you had quality people coming out of there. But I can tell you that shortly after that, 2003 to be precise, in fact, even before 2003, there was a shoving and shifting and sifting of the quality, and it was diluted, heavily diluted. One, the fear Obasanjo had of the political class that came from entrenched NPN, PDM, and those structural arrangements from Sheikh Musa Yar'Adua. His progenitors or his scions like Atiku Abubakar became a threat to those who were coming in accidentally. You remember that Obasanjo himself said that, how many presidents do you want to produce from me? In my account, I have just 20,000. How can I run an election? I was in Jos as well. Convention. Yes, because we came from the AD.
Alliance for Democracy.
I was in Alliance for Democracy, the first publicity secretary
in Cross River
State.
Tinubu,
yes, then we now had the ACD, Advanced Congress of Democrats, run by the SDP National Secretary, Alexis Anielo of Enugu State. He formed the ACD. So when AD broke off in 2006, the faction led by the present president joined ACD to form AC. A coming from the Alliance and C coming from the Congress, which made it AC. And by December of that year, or early February for 2007, when we went to Blue Roof in Ikeja, it was changed to ACN. The N was added to make it Nigeria, Action Congress of Nigeria. So these origins shaped the tendencies that formed and shaped what even today dovetailed into what we know as APC. Because the element in AMPP, which was APP, All People's Congress, that became All Nigerian People's Party, became itself a faction of the entrenched NPN. So PDP indeed was the progressive party that came from the progressives led by G34 that Alex Ekweme led. So why I'm tracing this is to show that there is a direct dilution, diversion, and desecration of the democratic and progressive family, which now included all comers, jumping from the roof, jumping from the windows, breaking through the ceilings to come and join the progressive.
But you know that you have to have new entrants, because now from 1999 to this moment, how many years? 26 or thereabout.
Yes, we're in the 26.
Meaning that even the child that was born on May 29, 1999 is eligible to
contest any election, yes.
Election. Is it that, of course, we are discussing independence.
Yes.
Is it that our set of politicians, the ones that we have now, from top to bottom, they have abandoned the policy, the commitment, dedication, and selflessness of the founding fathers? Talking about Azikiwe, talking about Balewa, talking about Enahoro, talking about, and all that.
No, let me tell you this. To say that we suffer from the disease of overgeneralization. The reason is because there are some elements, some progressive elements, who still sustain. Like I stated from the opening statement, it's just that they are being overwhelmed. They are being infiltrated. And so there is some kind of dilution. They dilate the entire system. Otherwise, what will you say about and Ashwaju? He came in from the US, an oil mogul who worked in the oil industry at home and abroad, came back to Nigeria, met the struggle. He himself admits that he was an accidental political actor when he got into Nigeria. So he was elected into the Senate. And studying from the Awoist welfarist program, when people tell us that, we don't have ideology in Nigeria, how do you mean by we don't have ideology? That the ideologies have not been entrenched. 65 years. America is more than 200 years as a democracy.
But our guest that just left, I brought this question that, someone will say, China 5,000 years or whatever. But then the current set of Are they politicians or whatever you call them? 1949, difference of 11 years. Why the expectation? I'm now asking that because people had high hopes, especially on President Tinubu, looking at what he did in Lagos when he came from America before I interjected. He was able to defy the odds. He was able to remain afoot even when there was that Obasanjo's tsunami. And he delivered to greater extent. But here we are now. Are you satisfied with the level of our economy, the trajectory? Is it okay? Because already people are fact-checking the speech of the president, which he delivered this morning.
Yes. The fact check will only prove one thing: deliberate, conscious, and committed leadership. Courageous to a fault.
Are you saying what he said was true?
What he said, you have said that fact-checking, isn't it?
Yes.
If you are talking about the figures, the statistics he rolled out, all statistics are fixed. You can't shift them overnight. If he says 4.3 and you go and say it is 3.4, it's a matter of putting one figure before the other. And for me, whether or not you like it, the general notion is that there is an improvement. The statistics show that there is an improvement.
In terms of economy, in
terms of the economy, in terms of our polity.
I mean, even 2007, when Jonathan took over, I think dollar hovered around 150.
Please.
I mean, it wasn't up to 200.
Please.
And then just 2 years back.
Please.
Look at it.
Let's compare the comparable.
Honorable,
under Jonathan, let me give you this. Under
Yes.
Jonathan, you are busy citing Jonathan.
Yes.
Jonathan's benchmark for the oil, which is the mono economy we run, all our calculations and statistics are based on oil. And he said benchmarked it at $65. Fact check me. $65 per barrel. He got 115. The lowest he got was 100. And his own economic advisor, Konjo-Iweala, warned and said this oil that has shot up will soon go down. So can we take the excess crude? Remember the story of the excess crude oil? Governors in that said, look, let us put into what we call a sovereign wealth fund. So that on a rainy day when this oil goes down and we fall back on the sovereign wealth. His own minister said so. Governors in Nigeria, both of AMPP, PDP, all came together and went to court and cited the relevant sections of the constitution that say that all consolidated revenue of the federation shall be shared to the federating units. And therefore, they must share the money. And so that money was not saved. That was lack of courage in leadership. So when you have such excess, what are you expecting the dollar to do?
Okay, now we have
you are not supposed to loan.
Okay, Honorable. You
are not supposed to owe. Local contractors, economy should boom. You shouldn't have stagflation. You shouldn't have inflation. You shouldn't be discussing inflation at all because you have excess crude. That is to say, I'm selling 20 bags of rice. I will harvest 20 bags of rice this year. If I do so, 2 of my children will go to university. The other 2 who are still in secondary school, I can send them to boarding school instead of day school. And I expect that a bag of rice will be 30,000 naira. And then you go and sell it for 80,000.
But look at it.
And then at the end of it, you withdraw the children from school.
Okay, take it this way. We now have a courageous leader, right? Who has removed the encumbrance left behind by Jonathan, left behind by Buhari, and all that. But then, if you check now, what Nigeria borrowed in the last 2 years, despite removing subsidy, they said it, overtakes what Buhari, borrowed throughout his tenure. And this is at a time when we have removed fuel subsidy. Of course, we are looking forward for a solution. You are still part and parcel of this government in a way. Where are we getting it wrong, and what do you think from governors? Because just yesterday, even Nasarawa State Governor, or the day before yesterday, he said they are now getting almost 4 times what they were getting 2 years ago in terms of money. What do you think governors should do as a stopgap measure, very, very fast, to save our dying children, to save our communities that have been overrun by insecurity and all that?
Now, this takes me back to the quality of followership. The quality of citizens is equal to the quality of leaders. The governors, everybody is talking about what Tinubu should do. as president. Nobody's talking about what his governor should do, even when they are boasting that we have 4 times what they are giving us. Who is asking the governor of Nasarawa State, for instance? Who is asking the governor of Lagos State, for instance? What are you doing with the 4 times you are getting? Nobody's talking about that. We even talked about, they are talking about state police. The very people who want state police can't even pay vigilante to supplement. In the Northeast, if you remember, there's what you call the civilian JTF, Joint Task Force of the military and the civilians, who provide them intelligence, local intelligence, for them to act actionable intelligence with which they operate with. Governors can deal with that. Only yesterday or 2 days ago, it's a governor, I think my friend in the governor of Yobe State, provided vehicles for the military and for all security agencies in the state. He provided so many vehicles for them. Those are areas in which they can develop. It's not enough. In an era of technology in which America can get to Birnin Gwari and remove their citizen that was arrested and neutralized the bandits and remove the boy. Why are we not borrowing that one? Why is it only money we are borrowing?
So what should governor? What do you think governors should learn? Because because you said something about courage. Don't you think, even in respect to this state policy thing, because it's also economics of politics, the president that we have, the so much courageous governor of 1999 up to 2003, has catched in because he endorsed state police also.
In fact, he advocated for it as a governor. I've attended conferences with him in 2008, in 2011, when he had left government.
But are you not contradicting yourself now that okay, these governors, they can't even pay vigilantes?
We are saying that governors,
yes.
Now he has said, has he not even gone ahead to even talk about devolution of power by insisting that power must return to local government? Federal government is the one going to court instead of citizens, championing the fact. Even local government chairmen serving don't want to have autonomy. It is the president's courage that is going to Supreme Court to order his own attorney general to go to court. All you're asking him now to do is to carry a koboko and wait on the road for governor and say, line up here 6 strokes for not doing this. Yet, I told you the example of how just a mere fact that he would have even decreed it, he would have even given an executive order to say, give local government their monies directly, but it will require the force of law, and that's why he went through the law courts. Only yesterday, the DSS had to go to court over a declaration by a citizen. Before now, the person would have been arrested first. You are already guilty for making that pronouncement before you go. Now they have even gotten that. Once that happens, citizens, there is what you call citizens' rights and citizens' action.
Who will lead them now? Because
the citizens.
Okay,
it shouldn't be the president.
They are impoverished, you know. It's so gullible.
When you talk about impoverished, you can't be telling me that Odin Kalu is impoverished. You can't say me that Shore is impoverished. You can't say that Amechi, who was speaker for 8 years, governor for 8 years, minister for 8 years, jumps onto the pulpit and they gather around him and he says he's hungry. And they go clap for him. And he said they're impoverished, whether mentally, whether intellectually.
I'm talking about you and me.
You and me, please.
Are you better off? I mean, but then what do you think our governors, 36?
We have been
774 local governments.
Yes, we are saying we are more than them in number.
Ministers and all that.
Why are citizens not? They are civil society organizations.
You need to be empowered, Honorable.
They are empowered sufficiently. I'm saying you can't say that a man who has been governor for 8 years, minister for 8 years is impoverished.
I'm not talking about
they are the ones leading the protest now. Why wouldn't they do that?
Okay, we're talking about genuine protest because there is this allegation from your camp that the likes of... No. People... You know, speaking for APC, they said, of course, even one of the spokespersons of the president, he said it yesterday that the ADC, PDP or whatever, they are just ranting because they have lost grip of power. It's not that they are talking on behalf of the 230 million Nigerians.
Yes.
So who will now forget about them? Because we are chatting in due course. Now, Nigeria will enter 67.
Let me say this to you.
Yes.
At no time has Nigeria been more ready to force their public officers than now.
How?
The reason is simple. First, with the era of social media, before today, you will need to travel to Calabar to mobilize a Calabar child. In fact, as students, when oil subsidy was propounded in 1989, when there was structural adjustment by Babangida, once ABU speaks, Unical will speak, Ife will speak, then you hear Jos speak, we have to be traveling all night. Today, you don't need that to organize a protest. With 4 naira, you can send a text message. With 6 naira, you can send a text message. With WhatsApp, but they are on social media doing Bet Niger. On social media doing Big Brother Niger. Go and check, fact check, and see the number of people. If you mobilize that, the population statistics show that we have more youths in Nigeria, and they are more on social media.
But they are disenchanted, the youth.
They are just they should be the ones to ask questions. Why are they not asking questions in the relevant places?
But this government, Honorable, said that it will organize youth conference also since January or February to now allow the youth to, ventilate
APC
whatever
government,
is there in their stomach. Up till now, we are yet to see that. And
APC,
you can see
excuse me, yes. Having said so, I have, at least this year alone, I have been invited to more than 3 youth conferences. More than 3.
Not the one, projected by Tinubu.
No, I'm talking about a National Youth Council of Nigeria.
Okay.
I'm talking about that. You remember the other one in which a young man was almost killed, almost beaten to pulp, where they were struggling about who is the National Youth President, who is the NANS President. NANS that could stop the federal government from going into Anglo-Nigerian Defense Pact. NANS that could say Ali must go, a minister must go in 1978.
And it has been compromised.
NANS now goes and start asking government officials who should be their president. So when you dilute it like that, is it ignorance that causes that? Is it hunger? It is sheer greed. No, it's sheer greed. We were more hungry. We are from rural communities, villagers.
Of course,
who came to the university.
Of course, I wasn't fed free when I was in the university.
I
didn't pay up to 4,000 per session.
Agree.
At public university.
But I'm asking you today. I'm asking you today. Is that the reason why they can organize? Are they not having SUG governments, student union governments in all universities? Are they not having NANS?
So don't you think,
who organizes that? How can they organize that and cannot organize?
Maybe politicians infiltrated them. Of course, that allegation, has been debunked. Even the son of the president was actually, supporting one of the contenders. Yes.
It is deliberate. It is conscious. It is not as if somebody tied your hands and say government must infiltrate you. It is something you admit. It has always happened. There is no student union in the government, even in the university. The government official, even the vice chancellor, is not interested.
That it has gone so bad.
But they got so bad because they got corrupted. Never because government corruption means what? 2 persons. I offer and you take. Isn't it? So where's the commitment? You are asking commitment from your leaders who are elected. But you two are elected in a small way in a university of less than 3 million people. And you are collecting money to go and compromise your colleagues. And then you now ask a governor who is controlling over 4 or 5 million people, not asking him why he should compromise. He also came from you. Therefore, before today, the moral compass of community and society was a university in our time. And today, you now go on your own. Nobody asks you. You go and walk into a senator's house and say, we're about to do an election tomorrow. You know it requires money.
Bowl in hand.
And then you now go and beg for it. Then tomorrow you want to now shout. You can no longer shout. You have compromised. So we want to see a return of that morality. That moral compass, that integrity that was in the student union movement is no longer there.
But we need leadership, right? We are trying to profess
that leadership cannot come from the town to the gown. It is the gown, what you produce as university. Some of us who are still talking today, we are student union activists. I sit in APC, but you remember that when there were compromises in the system under this government, I have worked with Ashwaji since April of 2006 till today, closely.
You didn't change your mind?
He has never at any time imposed, in fact, government of national unity, propounded by Yaradua, the late president. He asked for government on the 5th of July, 2007. We came for a meeting, and he came there and proposed it as leader of ACN. 24 chairmen out of 36 voted against him, and he submitted. That is why ACN didn't join government of national unity. ANPP joined. It was because of state chairmen that Ashwaju considered that we shouldn't join government of national unity because we voted against it. He was the one who moved the motion. We opposed it. Then Adam Soshimole was governor of Edo State. He joined the chairman and voted. It was not a decree. He could have decreed it as leader. He never did. And ACN, remember, didn't join. And in fact, if you check the ACN constitution, Article 9 or thereabout. If you join any other political party or accept appointment from any other political party, you cease to be a member of ACN. And it is in the APC constitution. Today, you cannot. But the PDP does not have that, and other parties don't have it. But the ACN had it. The reason was because we didn't want to drift into a one-party state. And that is why I sat in your studio here on one of those occasions when he was addressing the joint session of the National Assembly and said that this president will even sponsor opposition against himself because he knows that the fulcrum upon which democracy devolves is opposition. But we are having a very weak opposition now, and we in APC are very sad about it.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Cletus Obun, Chieftain of the APC, former member, Cross River State House of Assembly, former chairman of ACN, and former member Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you for, calling out those who deserve to be called out as, independence gift to Nigerians. We have to have you some other time.
Thanks for having me, and may Nigeria be blessed. We shall have a nation where no man is oppressed.
And this brings us to the end of this special 1st October package marking the 65th anniversary of Nigeria's independence. Of course, the success recorded on this program is not the job of just one person. While thanking all our reporters, the producers, the engineers, the cameramen who work behind the scene since many days back up till this hour, I want to extend our gratitude to every one of you who have been with Trust TV. I'm Hamza Idris. Happy Independence Anniversary. See you again for another interesting edition.